Time now for the Sports Six-Pack with Andrew Rogers.
Let's crack open an ice-cold beer and enjoy the six-pack today. Your questions, you sent them in. Sugar Shane's got them loaded up. We're at Hale Varsity Club, the only place, the proper place to have a beer at 6 o'clock. I expect you to be here, but on your drive here, maybe you're listening to the six-pack. Let's watch a game together. Let's crack open an ice-cold beer together and answer some questions. Shaner, kick us off.
Question number 1.
So, what's the biggest key to Nebraska playing spoiler to Wisconsin this weekend?
Finding ways to slow down Braylon Allen, the over-talented 18-year-old. You do that, and I truly believe this will be another low-scoring Wisconsin game. He's their biggest weapon, no doubt. But this year, he's shown he's capable of being stopped. I ran these stats on the morning dump. I'm going to say them again here on the six-pack. So far this season, teams in the Big Ten that allow 110-plus rushing yards a game, Braylon Allen has eclipsed that number while adding 5 touchdowns. He averages about 5.7 yards per carry in that span. You have to find a way to remove him from the game. The Nebraska defense did a great job of limiting Mo Ibrahim, despite Mo ending that game with over 100 rushing yards and a pair of touchdowns, I think, maybe just one touchdown. But Nebraska was competitive for that reason. They made it hard on one of the best backs in the Big Ten. It also helped that they got on the board early in that game, which is crucial in any game when you play against a team that's run first.
Question number 2.
Nebraska fans want a slam dunk when it comes to hiring of the team's next head coach. Sticking with the rumors, do you think Matt Rhule is that?
You know, everybody has a different opinion, but I have felt for a long time that Matt Rhule should be the number one option. He's built programs at all levels and coached at all levels. It didn't work in Carolina, I know that, but what a humbling experience that was for him to realize that, hey, coaching at the highest level isn't all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. It's also completely different than college. Completely different. You're talking about adults that make big buco bucks opposed to 18 to 22-year-old kids that, yes, can sign NIL deals now, but it's completely different. He never beat a ranked team at Baylor. Well, I actually found out that wasn't true, courtesy of our friends at No Block, No Rock. It makes me laugh when they pull up a stat that says Baylor beat Texas, I believe it was. It was like a 13-25 game. But it makes me laugh when people are so quick to defend after being proven wrong. It's like, well, be it as it may, Texas has always been an overrated team. It's like, why are you responding like that? Just because you said that they didn't do that, because that's what the majority of people were saying, but then when somebody proved it wrong, that you're going to now act like Texas didn't deserve to be in the top 25? Stop it. Now you're just grasping for straws. Look, at the end of the day, no matter the hire, I bet you're going to have a 50-50 split on whether it was the right move or not.
50-50?
50-50. People are on edge and desperate for a winning Nebraska football team. Fans thought they had that when they hired Scott Frost. Now they're hesitant to commit. And they're going to hold back getting overexcited at the next big name. Yeah, don't want to. How do I want to put this? Fans don't want to be drugged through the mud again.
No, they do not. They definitely do not want to be.
So that's why they're hesitant.
Question number 3.
I wasn't too hesitant on getting my third beer there. So let me ask you this. Can Kirk Cousins lead the Vikings to the Super Bowl?
I'll tell you what, I won't hesitate here. No. Kirk Cousins does not have that ability. There are better teams in the NFC than the Vikings. Record aside, there are better teams. He'll lead them to the playoffs, don't get me wrong. But he doesn't have the juice to lead them to the Super Bowl. There are 2 teams off the top of my head right now that I could say. The Eagles and the 49ers. That are better teams than the Vikings. But the Vikings have the record. They have the juice, right? Kirk Cousins does not have the juice. Unlike the Corn kid who said corn has the juice, Kirk Cousins does not have the juice. And I love this Vikings. I love the Vikings as a team. Dalvin Cook's awesome, real deal. Justin Jefferson, incredible. Adam Thielen, he hasn't been the Adam Thielen that we know and used to love. But TJ Hawkinson is a stud too. They made that offense elite. That defense is good too. They just need a clutch time quarterback to win a Super Bowl, and that's not Kirk Cousins.
Question number 4.
Way too early talk here when it comes to the college football playoff conversation and how things are heating up. Does the loser of Ohio State and Michigan, does that loser of that game still get in? And that's a tough one.
It is, because the loser of that game won't compete for a conference championship, and the voters, I mean, that's a high consideration when it comes to putting people in the college football playoff. When I look at this matchup, if Michigan were to win, which I think they will, Ohio State has the best chance of still getting in, opposed to Michigan if roles were reversed. Ohio State has that win against Notre Dame early on in the season, and I think that's going to help them out a lot, seeing as good as Notre Dame has become this season, even though they were highly ranked to start the year. But Ohio State has the edge when it comes to strength of schedule. Michigan does not. They really haven't had a very tough, tall task this season. So if Michigan loses, man, I look at Tennessee, and they've won some big games. The game against Alabama, for one, and they're not going to compete for a conference championship. So if I look at, would I rather have Michigan or Tennessee, it's going to be tough. Now, for Tennessee to make it, they have like the 42nd best defense in college football. Every other team that's in the top 7 right now ranks in the top 20 in both offense and defense. And, of course, Tennessee's up there in offense. Yeah, that one's tough, Shaner. That's hard. And even look at USC that got in at 7 now. I mean, you talk about them winning the Pac-12. That's going to be a huge deciding vote if they win out here.
And it will be, yeah.
It's hard.
Question number 5.
Deshaun Watson returns to practice today. That must make you happy in regards to fantasy
Hey, I
football.
told people to pick him up. I told them.
did.
I said put your personal feelings of this man aside and pick him up, because he'll win you a fantasy football championship. It does get me excited. I'm sure it also gets Browns fans excited. Again, I'm not talking about you have to like the guy, but if you're looking in the department of winning football games, Deshaun Watson does that for you. He gives you the best chance to win games. The Browns went all in on this guy. They traded numerous draft picks to get him. They inherited a contract that was, they didn't inherit a contract. Let's say they signed him to a massive deal and gave him guaranteed money. But by doing so, it put a burden on their team's salary cap. Look, Deshaun Watson is there for a reason. He's there to help bring that team to winning a Super Bowl, and he gives them the best chance to do it. I'm excited to see what he can accomplish on the football field and for my fantasy team down the stretch.
Question number 6.
You picked Kentucky to win it all in college basketball, but they lost to unranked Michigan State last night. Regretting that decision yet there, Andrew?
No, it's early. It's early. The loss, I think it spoke more to Michigan State than it did Kentucky. Michigan State did a phenomenal job of hanging around in this basketball game. And historically, they're a great basketball team, and they have a Hall of Fame coach leading their team as well. But you just look at some of the plays that they drew up late in that basketball game, and you just think, wow. Like that team has a connection that basketball teams aspire to have, and that's knowing where your teammate is going to be at all times. They ran a play. They ran a structured play, multiple points, going into overtime at the end of the second half, and the first half of overtime. I guess the first overtime, you wouldn't say half. They ran structured plays in order to get the bucket that they needed with less than 7 seconds to play. So they played confident, and confidence is key. So I don't regret my decision on Kentucky. I think Kentucky's still a phenomenal basketball team. I loved the way that the Wildcats played. I'm a big fan of Shibwe, and he just needs to kind of get back to full form after coming back from injury.
If Week 10 in the NFL is like a prime time for you to lose a game, how does that compare to college basketball if you're going to lose a game? If you're going to go 29-1, what week would that want to be in college basketball? Obviously, probably not early.
Man, no, later on in the season. If I'm comparing it to Week 10.
Yeah.
So you're talking like Eagles here, losing, getting their first loss. I think it's impressive if you see a team start off the year, especially in a conference as powerful as the SEC, even at like 12-0, 13-0, like at maybe like from game 14 to game 20, finding a way to lose in that stretch or getting a loss. That way you can learn, adjust, so that by the time March Madness rolls around, you have all of those flaws taken care of.
Feeling tipsy yet? Catch more of Andrew Rogers from 7 to 9 in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio.